Welcome to the Blood Angels Commander channel.
Well, good evening, folks. Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody doing tonight? Hope you're well. It's been a little while since we did a hangout, and I figure with the new balance data slate, better get some more models ready, huh? So, maybe some infantry, maybe less tanks. I did a tactics video all about infantry this week, so that'll be coming out on Friday. But good evening, everyone. Campbell, what's happening? Monkey Llama, nice to see you. It's been far too long since we did a hangout. Obviously, there's no live game tonight. Andrew and everybody else was at a tournament this weekend. I wasn't at it because it was like traveling out of town, and I'm not doing too much traveling to tournaments away at the moment because my son is 1 year old, and he is a friggin' handful. So I've been trying to give my wife a break at the weekend, so I'm not going to any tournaments out of town, probably at least for another 6 months, but I've got one tournament coming up in town in November, so I've got that to look forward to. So I guess I've got a couple of months to get some sort of list ready for November. After the infantry drops, I might, or the Blood Angels point drops, I might take some more Blood Angels. How's everybody doing tonight? Miguel, seeing the Raven Guard use the aggressors and Land Raider, feels good. Really? Raven Guard using aggressors and Land Raider? Someone was telling me I should do a tactics video on Bolter Discipline aggressors. I was like, was that actually good? Like, I was gonna say, did I even run my aggressors yet? Maybe I used them one time in 10th edition and maybe they underperformed. I don't know. I know aggressors came down a little bit in points. But I never run aggressors with Bolter Discipline, but people are saying that Bolter Discipline and a Gravis Captain is apparently good with aggressors. I don't know. I'm starting by putting a base extender on this Primaris Librarian. I think when I got this model I was confused, and I definitely didn't build him straight away, but I think I glued him to the wrong size base. Like, he was on a, I think he was on a 32. So I'm putting him, I'm being lazy. I could have tried to rip him off the 32, I suppose, and put him on a 40mm. There's probably about the same amount of work as putting a base extender on him, but I've put the base extender on him now, so that's where we're starting tonight. If you've never used these base extenders, I find them like super handy for getting older models. You know, when they release these new Primaris jump intercessors, if Assault Marines need to be on bigger bases, I would highly recommend you get some of these base extenders. I think you get 10 of them for like $3.99 on eBay. And that'll just, you basically can just slot them in and be done with it, but I'm going one step further and I'm filling in the gaps between the extender with green stuff, and then I'll just paint over the top of it with texture paint. You might, I mean, if you look closely, I suppose you'll know it's a base extender, but if you don't, you won't know. George, the best Bolter Discipline unit in the Index. I mean, I guess with the nerf of Desolation Marines, they probably have the most shots. And they got lethal hits as well, is that right? So it'll be lethals on 5s and 6s. An average of about 6 shots per model. I mean, I guess you'd play Storm of Fire, I guess, if you're going Gladiators to get some extra AP. The Biologist Bolter Discipline, give the Gravis Captain or Artificer armor and you have a silly amount of shooting survivability. What does the Gravis Captain just has a... He just has like a bolter as well, right? Or you can take the one that's got like the heavy bolt rifle, I guess. I bought that one with the heavy bolt rifle because he was in that Kill Team box, but I think I bought that probably at this point, like, well, I've almost been in this new house like 2 years. I must have bought that like 2 years ago. I've never run him. Ares says, hello Blood Angels Commander House thing, just bought 90 odd Terminators for £150. It's going to be a busy week. Most of them are brand new. Why do you need 90 Terminators? Are you making the first company yourself? You're just going to have an army that is the first company 90 Terminators strong? Jeez, oh. Good deal though, 90 Terminators for 150. That's like $1.50 a model. That's a really good deal. So use Librarian Dreadnought to get angles with the aggressors. Interesting. quite interesting, I suppose. And I guess I'll have to do a video on the... I guess I will have to make a tactics video on these aggressors attached to the biologists. It must be a lot stronger than I think it looks like on paper. But hey, sometimes that's the way that works. Sometimes that's the way it works. Pustelnik, good evening. Lethal and sustained on 5s. And you get blast weapons too. It's like 70 wounds average into a blast unit. Lethal and sustained. Because you're getting sustained from the bolter discipline and you're getting what, lethals from the biologists? Is this the new meta? Is this the meta? Gravis aggressors? Sorry, aggressors with Gravis Captain, the 6-man, I guess, and then what, you lose Librarian Dreadnought to get into... teleport them somewhere? At that point, do you even need to use Oath of Moment on them, or do you use Oath of Moment? Feels like they probably don't even need Oath of Moment, do they? Alright, there's the green stuff done. That'll take a little while to set, so I'm gonna be starting on some heavy intercessors tonight. Colin says, I've really been getting into your content, glad to catch you live. Colin, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate that. Mainly Blood Angels content, obviously, but you know, thanks for watching. I do appreciate that. I do put a lot of work in every week on this channel, so it's nice to be appreciated. Inks! Finally, you caught me not 2 minutes from the end of the stream. How are you? You just use Oath and reroll every 1 to 4. I killed Magnus with them alone yesterday. Okay. So George, you have 6 bolter aggressors, I'm assuming. With what? The biologists with bolter discipline? And then... what type of Gravis Captain? I'm great, thanks, Inks. Feels like it's been far too long since I've been hobbying, honestly. I don't know... I was going to say, I don't know if I've just had a busy few weeks. I mean, I guess I've been playing a game every week now for a few weeks. And, I'm trying to think what else has been going on in my life that's kept me so busy. I think there was like I had a barbecue and that was it. I had a barbecue on a Saturday, and then in the evening I was just too tired to stream. Like I was just exhausted. Like I had like 30 people over for a barbecue, so I was running around all day, plus trying to watch the kids, and yeah, I was just absolutely exhausted that day. So I didn't stream that Saturday night, and then maybe I can't remember. Maybe there was another night I missed. It's been a little while since I did a live stream where we were just chilling. So, or maybe I think that was it. Last Saturday I did a live stream where we were just looking at the balance data slate, right? And I've got 2 new videos I'm working on. One's finished and one's like halfway done. One's talking about the balance data slate. The other one's talking about the changes to infantry. So yeah, no, I've been busy getting pre-recorded content done for, I guess, like this Friday and for whenever else. So yeah, it's been a little while since I streamed. Or streamed, just chilled, just painted. Yeah. Nice to see you though. Can only apologise I've not been live much in the last couple of weeks. Sometimes when you've got like 2 young kids, time just gets away from you, man. Like, you know, like one of my kids is like almost 4 now, and it's like I just don't actually know where those 4 years went. Like it's kind of crazy. Daisu, good evening. How are you? Bolter discipline, just have a biologist with bolter discipline. No captain, but I did run one. It would be the free Storm of Fire. Oh yeah, because Storm of Fire gives you extra AP. So all these lethal hits are basically 2 AP, and it's just death by 1,000 cuts, I guess. And I mean, I guess you can just charge as well. Maybe I need to try that in my list. Just yeah. I mean, do you know what? I'll obviously Wednesday night is the night that I usually play a live game, and obviously I'm not playing tonight because, like I said, all my friends were at a tournament this weekend, so they were kind of just maybe taking the week off from playing Warhammer, which is funny because I think Andrew actually played last night, but it's fine. I need a week off to do some painting anyway. So yeah, maybe next week what I'll do is I'll see if I can fit in... Do you know what? I haven't built my biologist yet, so I guess I need to build my biologist, and See if we can't run the biologists with 6 aggressors, just as a test, really. Do you think that it helps having a Librarian Dreadnought there with them? Because you can just ping them into exactly the right position? Probably helps, right? Juan, good evening. The biologist plus the grab captain with aggressors is very nice. So correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't used aggressors. Aggressors have -1 AP if they shoot the closest target. That's their special rule, right? So you're using Storm of Fire to get -2 AP. And Storm of Fire does something extra if you're in Devastator Doctrine. I forget what it is now. Go remind me. I only used Storm of Fire a couple of times on my Desolation Marines, but I haven't run Desolation Marines in a while. Storm of Fire is like 1 extra AP if you're in Devastator Doctrine and something else, right? Ignore cover, that's it. Thank you. Okay, so you're basically hitting them at -2 and you're ignoring cover. And you're getting like, I guess like 20 or 30 lethal hits, and you got full wound rerolls as well. It's funny actually, your lethal hits will end up being stronger than your wound rolls in that situation, but okay. Interesting. It's very reminiscent of the Desolation spam, isn't it? It's just on a much more Blood Angel suited unit, I guess. Because like aggressors will be able to fight a little bit in close combat because they've got those power fists, and they're twin link power fists as well. So I guess if you've got a captain with them as well, you could always decide if you want to pillay 1 CP for like Red Rampage or Honor the Chapter too, because they're. I was gonna say I know Red Rampage is a battle stratagem. Is Honor the Chapter battle stratagem as well? Probably it must. I feel like it probably is, but I could check that. I'm glad other people are seeing the glory of 10th aggressors. Do you know what? I've got 6 fully painted aggressors. It's not off 6 fully painted bolter aggressors. It's not often that a unit that I've got fully painted suddenly becomes meta and I don't have to paint them. Actually, do you know what? I have questions for you guys, because someone in chat is probably going to give me... I figure in chat I'll get a couple of different answers, but I was wanting to ask in chat. These are heavy intercessors. What colour are their helmets? Are they blue because they're heavy, or are they red because they're like battle line? I actually don't know what the right answer is, or even if there is a right answer, but tell me in chat, if you've painted your heavy intercessors, what colour have you painted their helmets? AP2 1 damage, yeah, I mean it's just weight of fire, isn't it, Colin? Absolutely weight of fire. It reminds me of when it reminds me of the olden days where when aggressors, if they stood still, they got to fire twice. I really liked that rule actually, because I think it really rewarded like smart play with the aggressors. I think that was 8th edition, but yeah, I really enjoyed that rule when they. I go with black helmets for mine. Well, black's not canon. Warpsmith says red because it's battle line. All my helmets are red. Don't ask me. I'd assume battle line too. So most people are saying battle line, but black because black's also a cool color. I did my infiltrators with black helmets. Because my friend Colin, who plays Ultramarines, did his Ultramarine infiltrators with black helmets, and I honestly thought they were really dope looking, because it was like they looked like proper, like almost like Special Forces Ultramarines, and I was like, oh my god, Colin, I love these black helmets on your infiltrators. I gotta copy this. So even though Blood Angels typically it would be the Death Company that have the black helmets, I think black helmets can look very cool on other units as well. I don't know if I necessarily want these guys to be canon. I'm just curious what people have done. I was either leaning towards red or blue for these guys. I think on my aggressors I did red, even though technically they could be classed as close support in yellow. But for my Centurions I did yellow. So my army is rarely canon with the right head color. It's just what I think looks cool at the time, right? I got 2 wins Sunday. The Dreadnoughts plus Repulsor were exceptional. The Hellblaster is incredible too. Or is that just a regular Repulsor or the Repulsor Executioner that was exceptional? I got a new camera stand, which gives me a different angle. I might tweak it a bit, but the advantage of this camera stand is, look, I ain't gonna knock it. Normally when I'm streaming, I'm forever knocking my camera stand. So I repurposed an old, my old microphone thing, and managed to use it as a camera stand now. So from now on, I should never hit my camera stand when I'm streaming. So I'm really happy about that. I used to feel like I would do that every single stream. I'd end up bashing the camera or moving the camera. Really annoyed me. I think the Joy Toy was blue. Oh, really? Those damn Joy Toys making everybody second guess themselves. I actually really wanted to get some Joy Toys. I've got the plastic McFarlane one, but I never actually got around to buying any Joy Toys. I figured the Joy Toys seem very expensive. I mean, they're very cool, I suppose, but they're also very expensive. Maybe one day I'll get some Joy Toys. We do have the new Primaris releases coming soon, so I'll need to put some money aside to be able to buy some of those, I suppose. Thunder Hammers or Lightning Claws for Assault Terminators? Oh god, man, that's like the hardest question ever, Road Rage, because I don't like either of their... Like, I don't like either of them anymore. I used to really like both. Yeah, I genuinely used to really like both, and now I don't like either of them. Thunderhammers... I was gonna say, because their weapons score 4, they're very vulnerable to, like, if an enemy can make you -1 to hit, then Thunderhammers suddenly become very, very weak. I guess Death Guard might... I don't know if Death Guard are going to be strong in the meta, but right now, I believe Andrew got beat by the Death Guard last night, so maybe Death Guard are going to get a bit of resurgence with their new rules. So maybe it has to be Lightning Claws? Maybe? I think that Thunderhammers are like a wasted opportunity for a weapon at the moment, because Power Fists just seem better. Miguel says with the with the Death Guard buffs, Thunderhammers are dead. I mean, they were already kind of dead on arrival, right? So, like, not many people were running Thunderhammers anymore. I think that the regular Terminators, not the Assault ones, are actually better at the moment, because their ability, Fury of the First, is just better than the Assault Terminator's ability. Like, the Assault Terminator's ability is like, the enemy have to take a battle shot test. The Fury of the First is like, +1 to hit against your at the moment target, and you cannot be affected by negative modifiers to hit, and you cannot have your weapons skill or ballistic skill negatived as well. I think that the regular squad of Terminators are just much better than the Assault Terminators right now, and they're cheaper too. I don't really know why Assault Terminators are so expensive. It must be because you've got that Relic Shield and you've got that 4 wounds, but I think that I don't know if I feel 4 wounds is that much stronger than 3 wounds. Like, you know, Centurions have 4 wounds. They don't really feel any much stronger than 3 wound models. Maybe it's because there's a lot of 2 damage in the meta still. I like the hammers, but because they give you the shield, yeah, I think that's probably why the Assault Terminators are more expensive, is because you can take the shield, and the shield gives you that 4th wound. And I guess maybe if you attach like a chaplain to the Terminator squad so they could feel no pain against mortal wounds and stuff, then having that extra wound is really nice and could actually be quite strong. But I have a couple of fully complete assault Terminator squads, and I feel like I'd just rather. I think I'd just much rather take the Terminators with the bolters. I think they're better. You've been streaming like 15 minutes, so you already get 2 ads. So let me see if I can change that. YouTube said that they're making some changes with ads. I'm sure I can change this. Because they did this before. There was like a tick box that was automatically ticked. Yeah, it's weird. They put in this tick box that was like aggressively show ads to users, and it was automatically ticked, right? So like the first time I ever did a stream after they put that in, people were saying to me, like, they were like, John, I got so many ads on my stream, and I was like, you do? Because I don't think I've changed anything. So then I found it and unticked it, and then it went back to normal, where like there isn't ads when I'm live, there's only ads like on the replay. But then they've changed all the options again, and they sent out an email saying they're I guess they're using AI learning now on how they're going to send ads to players. Sorry, to watchers of YouTube. Well, I've noticed personally, like I watch quite a bit of YouTube on my TV, like on the weekend. Like I don't know if I watch regular TV channels anymore, right? Because like if I've got like 20 minutes, I might just throw on YouTube, you know, catch some football highlights because I like football a lot. Maybe like, you know, watch a couple of music videos or something. Like I don't genuinely sit down and watch real TV channels per se, like ever, I guess. Like I never do that. And I have noticed that there's like a lot more ads on YouTube now, and a lot more of them are becoming unskippable. And I guess that's YouTube's prerogative. Like I don't really have control of that. I can either show no ads, or I can show some ads, and then I guess YouTube use AI to decide how many ads. But what it seems like is YouTube, I think, unless you're paying for YouTube Premium, which I actually think is crazy expensive. I guess I'm not an ambassador for YouTube, right? I don't have YouTube Premium for my home life, and I know some of the other big streamers that I've watched as well don't have YouTube Premium, because it's I think it's like $25 a month. But I guess if you don't pay that $25, then I guess in the future what you can expect is a lot more ads. And it's quite funny in that my 2-year-old has actually figured out how to skip the ads on YouTube now, because I showed them. I was like, you know, you just have to wait, and then you have to press this button. It's hard to explain to a 2-year-old what an ad is, but she figured out quick enough how to skip them. So, alright, I've changed it, Monkey Llama. Thanks for letting me know. Hopefully, let me know if you get another ad. I don't think you will. But yeah, they're not making it easy for creators. I guess it's, you know what's messed up is like I ain't seen any more money from YouTube AdSense. I guess YouTube are seeing more money because they're showing more ads and they're taking more money. Since they've made these changes, I haven't, you know, I see the same amount of money that I always saw from YouTube based on views. If I don't get a lot of views, I don't get a lot of money. It's as simple as that. Having these more optimized ads is not it's not changing my life in any way, shape or form. Cool. Death Guard do look stronger now. Yeah, I think Death Guard are going to be I think they're going to be much more, well, I guess they were getting 0 play, so now they'll get some play, and it should be interesting. I think melee lists are going to really struggle into Death Guard if they pick that -1 weapon skill nonsense, because they already got a character that's -1 to hit. So if you took a Thunderhammer into Death Guard and you ended up in melee combat with that character, your Thunderhammers are only hitting on 6s, which is going to be brutal. Regular Terminators can get Chain Fists, yes, and I think that's probably the best way to run regular Terminators, because I feel like at the moment there's still a lot of armor in the meta, David, right? So like if you're playing against regular Terminator, or sorry, if you're playing regular Terminators, I know the ones in the, oh, what was that new box called? The Leviathan box came only like monopose ones with just power fists, but I mean you could cut a chainsword in half and stick a chainsword bit onto them and make it into a chain fist. That's what I would do. I think chain fists are kind of the way to go on those. I guess, what are we even calling them? I mean, they were firstborn Terminators, but I guess they're just the regular Terminator squad now. They've been Primaris-sized or Primaris up. I don't know what what's the adjective for having gone through a Primarising. I mean, I guess people would say they've crossed the Rubicon, I guess, right? So they've crossed the Rubicon. They're now large for Terminators, and yeah, I think the Chain Fist variant is the variant that I like the most. Funnily enough, when I ran 10 Chain Fist variants, they didn't perform quite as well as I had hoped. But hey, sometimes models just don't perform, and when that happens, you sometimes have to give them a second chance, right? They're anti-vehicle 3-up, yeah, I mean, that's why you would run them, I believe, because they're anti-vehicle 3-up. Apparently I missed a bit when I was snipping these guys. I left a little bit of his backpack on. Anyway, let's get that off of there. The change has been more unskippable ads close to the start automatically without YouTube, without input. Yeah, I mean, that's what I've noticed as well, Miguel, is like, generally if I'm watching YouTube videos now, there's more unskippable ads at the start. Sometimes they're longer, and unless you're willing to pay for YouTube Premium, then I guess that's just what's happening. Hey, the cost of everything has gone up in the world, so I guess YouTube need more money. I don't know how much money they make in a year, but I'm sure it's plenty. £25 for 5 accounts with YouTube Music. And what is YouTube Music? Is that like Apple Music? Is that just like all your music streamed on your devices? Maybe that's not too bad at 25. I'm tight, man. I guess I don't mind waiting for an ad. But then I'm the only breadwinner in this house, right? Like, I get 2 kids and my wife hasn't got a job at the moment, so maybe that's why we don't have YouTube Premium. Maybe when my wife goes back to work, we'll have stuff. We'll have nice things like that. But yeah, anyway, so if there's more ads, then Ori, I guess that's just what YouTube's going to be like. I'm assuming all the streaming platforms are going to be the same, Twitch and all that as well. There'll be more ads in the future. It's the world that we live in now, I guess. I know in the UK they do Sky TV, which I think they've really figured that one out, because Sky TV is like all the English Premier League football, like all the football everybody wants to watch, and they charge you like $100 a month to watch the football, and then they put ads in it as well. I was like, wow, they ain't messing about on Sky TV. I've never owned Sky TV actually, like it's just always seemed like too expensive for me. Yeah, I downloaded a new Battle Tracker app today, called like, I think it's just called Battle Tracker on iOS. Andrew was showing it me, and he was saying that he took it to the tournament, and it can like record all your games at a tournament and let you look them back. So I'm gonna try and see if I can figure out a way to get that to stream. Like, so next time we play live, we can have like the Battle Tracker on the app, like on the screen. He had it working last night, but he's got an Android phone. I've got an Apple phone, so I don't know how to get it working, but I think it would be quite cool if, like, if I went to a tournament, if I was able to record all the games into the app and then talk through it as like a tournament breakdown of like what units are good and stuff like that. So I'm gonna have a look at that and see if I can get that working. I have managed to get like, I did manage to get the New Games Workshop app to like broadcast onto my computer screen. Caesar, hello, how you doing? Benno's putting his Prime Desolation squad back in their storage box. You know that the last time I streamed Benno, I was doing 10 Desolation Marines, and I basically got 3 colours on them because I was figuring out like, hey, if I've got 3 colours on these, I could use them. And my Desolation Marines, just before this stream, went back into their box. I was like, okay, probably won't be painting Desolation Marines for a long time. You know, I've really struggled with Marine units. They either seem to come out like really weak or really overpowered. There's no in between, is there? Because I was looking at the balanced data slate, and there's still a few units like Reavers, for example. Like, I've owned painted Reavers at this point for like 6 years. I think I fielded them in one game, and that was it. Sir Mark says, I just heard that you sent Valrak some pieces. I sent him Desolation Marines. Yes, I did. Because I bought more Desolation Marines because I'm a sucker for chasing the meta, apparently. So I had 10 built, and I bought 5 more in eBay. And I was like, needing to get rid of them. So Valrak got my 5 extra Desolation Marines. Jason Toast from Sky TV from watching Tour de France. I use the tabletop battles for game tracking. Yeah, that's the one that I just downloaded today, Jason. I don't know if I'm going to try and figure out a way, so like when we're doing our live games, if we can stream what's on the screen of the iPhone wirelessly. That's the trick. Stream it wirelessly to the TV so everybody can see the battle tracker. Because that might be better than what we've got going on at the moment. It probably will be better. So I guess if I can see if there's an app that lets you stream whatever you're showing on your iPhone wirelessly. There's probably one that will do it via wired. Maybe there's one. Caesar says he just purchased his first Blood Angels Combat Patrol. How are you? Caesar, congratulations. Welcome to the chapter. Trying to think of the Combat Patrol. You got Aggressors, which we were just talking about, saying they're great. You got the Impulsor. You got Intercessors. I'm trying to think what else is in the Combat Patrol. I'd make your Aggressors first. Apparently they are the hot shit right now, and people want me to try them in the next battle report. And I think you want to make your Aggressors with the Bolters, because the Aggressors can have Apple TV AirPlay. Oh yeah, I guess you could use AirPlay, maybe. I need to see if OBS can capture what I'm AirPlaying. Never even thought of AirPlay. That's good. That's a good point. Because AirPlay broadcast shares whatever you've got on your screen, huh? Huh. Oh, maybe there's a way I can do this. Yeah, maybe. That would be cool. Thanks for the suggestion. That's the problem with the index with lots of datasheets. You're bound to have stuff that doesn't work. Could be worse though with the low amount of datasheets and badly balanced. Yeah, I mean, Andrew said he wanted to play me at Votan next week. And up until now, I believe the Votan were rubbish. I'm still not convinced that their changes is going to make them all that much better. But they did get a bunch of points drops. So maybe the Votan have a place. I don't know. So I haven't played Votan yet in 10th edition, so it'd be good to at least get one game under my belt against the Votan. So that's the plan for next week, is to Blood Angels versus Votan. I'm still going to run a pretty armor heavy list. I just haven't decided if I think I'm going to be mixing in some more infantry. That's kind of why I'm painting the heavy intercessors, because I think there's a chance I might run some heavy intercessors. I haven't tried them yet in 10th. So definitely there's a chance I might try some heavy intercessors. The chance I might try the Phobos Captain. That's why he's just here on this painting table. No, not the Phobos Captain, sorry. The Phobos Librarian. I had that guy for so long, actually. Do you ever think that you've had a model for so long, when you look at it, it feels like a bit of a crime that you've never even bothered, you like made it and you undercoated it and then you've just left it in a drawer for so long that it feels bad. Like you're like, man, I should have at least done something with this by now. I've had it way too long. I'm a bad Warhammer player, a bad Warhammer father. Yeah, I do use OBS from all my streaming. Both like, I basically use OBS for everything. Even when I'm recording like weekly videos, I capture it all in OBS and then like bring it into another video editing program from OBS. Just because all my cameras and everything are all, and my microphone and everything's all hooked up in OBS, so kind of easiest way for me to do it, I guess. For when I first started the channel, I used to take my camera I used to just record everything onto the camera, but then I had to download it all onto the PC, and then I had to edit it all, so it's just easier just to use OBS all the time, I guess. Plus, like, if I was gonna say, you can't see all my desk here, but like, I get so many USB things and stuff plugged in for all this streaming nonsense, so taking the camera all apart from the desk is a bit of a nightmare, actually. I say build infiltrators instead of incursors. I'm not a fan of the scout rule incursors hub. Yeah, because you get a squad of Phobos infiltrators or incursors in the combat patrol, don't you? I could get on board with building either. I think the incursors giving +1 to hit is a pretty cool. Like, if you've got a lot of shooting units, I think that's a pretty cool rule to have. But infiltrators are probably the safer choice, because you're always going to end up using infiltrators, right? Like, they're always handy. There's always times in the meta when infiltrators are really useful. Chaos Demons being able to do all their shenanigans, GSC being able to bring units back to life. I just think there's always times. For a while there was that Webway Gate. You know, I haven't seen anyone use the Webway Gate in 10th edition. Why do no Elder players use the Webway Gate anymore? Like, did it get nerfed? It must have got nerfed, because otherwise surely we would have seen people still using the Webway Gate. I must admit, I haven't really... After I got trounced by Elder a couple of times, I was like... I didn't even read the codex. I was just like, oh my goodness, these guys' rules are just so crazy. I just hope I don't have to play them again for a while. And to be fair, I haven't had to play them in like 10 weeks at this point. The gate's rubbish now. Evening, Andrew. How are you? You're loving your heavy intercessors. Okay, so it's a good idea to be painting these guys, huh? How are you using the heavy intercessors? Like, what's the game plan? I was thinking, because if you sit them on an objective, they get to -1 damage. Or sorry, they get to add 1 to their save against 1 damage weapons. So I was thinking either park them on my home field objective and cover. So that basically gives them a 2-up save. And they get to ignore 1 more EP against 1 damage weapons, which would kind of make them impervious to indirect fire, really, especially toughness 6 and 3 wounds, right? But the other option I was thinking, like, you just push them up into the middle objective and just try and hold the middle with them. Again, try and have them cover, just so that, like, they're as durable can be, I guess, right? But no, I used heavy intercessors when they first came out. I'm trying to think how long ago they came out. It feels like forever ago. They came out with that Pariah Nexus box, wasn't it? I don't remember when Pariah Nexus launched. A long time ago now. Possibly 3 years or something, maybe longer. So I used heavy intercessors, I think, once or twice, maybe in 8th edition, but then kind of put them down. And you know what? When I used them, I didn't actually mind them that much. They're the cheapest they've ever been now, right? They're like 105 points for 5. So what is it, like 21 points for a heavy intercessor now? That seems pretty cheap. Is it? They're cheap as that, aren't they? Yeah, they're very cheap, the heavy intercessors then. I was going to say, are they battle line too? I actually don't even know. I'm painting them and I don't know. I assume they're battle lines. They're OC2, are they? It would be nice if the sergeant could have had a melee weapon, I suppose. That's possibly the one thing that they really miss. And do you know what? A lot of the Primaris squads miss that, where like the sergeant could take a power fist or something like that. Heavy intercessors are good in the home field. Assault weapons too, so you can bring them up in the middle quickly if you need to, and you can advance and do an action. Oh, I hadn't even thought of that. Okay. So it sounds like these heavy intercessors are going to be a good choice to get some paint onto. Good. I like picking... I hate wasting my time with painting, and I feel like I've kind of wasted my time with my Desolation Marines. That's why I gave 5 of them away, because, man, I should know by now not to buy the hot stuff, because the hot stuff always gets nerfed. Typically, before you can ever take it to any sort of meaningful tournament, it's nerfed. But yeah, sometimes when the hot stuff comes out, I'm like, ooh, hot stuff, right? And then I buy it. It's like I'm an idiot. Prior Nexus was a little after 9th edition. Yeah, so, okay, so Prior Nexus was probably about 3 years ago. Maybe a little bit less than 3 years, but close. It's like the summer in Scotland, it never lasts. Yeah, the summer in Scotland lasts like 2 weeks. If you're lucky. I'm gonna call you Irby because I have no idea how to pronounce your name in Russian, dude. I'm sorry. If you're not Russian, tell me how to pronounce your name because I have no idea. Or give me a short nickname. I think it's Russian. It might be... Yeah, I don't have a clue. But you never thought about trying the midfield objective? Yeah, I don't know if the midfield objective will work. It was just an idea, I guess. That's the thing about... I always feel like you need a few games with a model to know if it's any good, because there's that whole thing called new model syndrome, and it's basically whenever you take a new model to the battlefield, it'll get killed in turn 1 before you get to do anything with it, and you'll think it's rubbish, or you won't have a good chance of looking at it. If Reavers got changed to anti-infantry and precision, would that make them worthwhile? I mean, Reavers need something, Campbell. Like, they've been rubbish for how many... how long have Reavers been rubbish for? Pretty much since they came out. I think in all the Marine releases, Reavers have been the most disappointing. Would that be fair to say? Because like they look the coolest. They arguably have the coolest looking helmets of all the Space Marines, but they're just absolutely dog trash. The English variant of my name is Eugene. Okay, I can say Eugene. Thanks for clarifying. Thanks for hanging out, Eugene. I was thinking of some point of, like, the reason I put the Full Boss Librarian onto the paint table, because I was like, one of the stratagems, or strategies, rather, that I came up with that might be cool was, like, I thought maybe what we could do is, like, you know, incursors have that ability that give you the +1 to hit when you're shooting, right? So I thought to myself, like, well, the problem with incursors is they'll be up front and then they'll probably get killed because they're up front and they're all alone. And you need them to see the enemy so you can get the +1 to hit when they hit a target with their... I think the rule is you basically hit the target with your bolt gun. Everything else in your army gets +1 to hit. So I was thinking, like, I think it was someone on stream said to me, they were like, why don't you get a Full Boss Librarian with the extra points you've got on your list? Because you could put the incursors into your list. Attach the Full Boss Librarian. The Full Boss Librarian means that they can't be shot because it gives them stealth. So you end up with like stealthy incursors that could maybe hold in a midfield objective, and they're just there to basically grant all your shooting units +1 to hit. So I've got a few interesting ideas now that I feel like I didn't have before the Balance Data slate. This one for sure, the aggressor idea that you guys are all been talking about, sounds pretty cool. The other idea that, well, I think Lamartez, honestly, I wasn't sure about Lamartez. I thought he was too expensive before for what he brought. But I've got a video coming out on Friday, a tactics video, in which I'm like looking at Lamartez and Death Company. And I think I'm on Team Lamartez once again. Like, I think with his points drop, I think he makes Death Company like a ton more viable. I think he's still going to need some CP devoted to his unit to be the most effective. But I'm very keen to try a bit of like Lamartez action and Death Company action, a bit more keen than I guess I have been of late on infantry, because of late of infantry I've been very down on infantry. I've been like, man, infantry just die too fast. Which I think they did, or they do die pretty fast, but maybe these points changes have helped enough where infantry will still die fast, but they'll be worth it now. Brian says Reavers suck. Yeah, I mean, we all know Reavers suck. It's so annoying that they suck. Eugene thinks for a 10-man squad. 10-man heavy intercessors, really? With the free armor of contempt? I guess? Haven't seen anyone run 10-man. I take 2 cursor squads before I take the Phobos Librarian. I tried out loads, but it's better with infiltrators for the massive lone operative screen. Well, I was only going to try 1 squad of Phobos Marines, I think, so that's why I was thinking I might try the Phobos Librarian. Yeah, I might. 2 scoops is trying Lamartez with 10 Death Company tomorrow. Nice. Let us know how that gets on. It's so expensive, it's like double the points. What's double the points, George? Just the 1 CP ingress for me and the 10-man with Infernal Pistols. Yeah, I mean, I guess 10-man with Infernal Pistols is pretty good, right? They're a lot more reasonable points-wise as well than like Sangre Guard, in my opinion. Like, Sangre Guard are still super expensive. I feel like I've got no motivation to run Sangre Guard at the moment. Even after they're, 8 points down per model, I still think I've no motivation to run them whatsoever. I think Death Company are just better in every way. And I think for the most part, you're probably going to be attaching a chaplain to the Death Company to make the maximum of them. So in that case, that any negativity that they have around them, which is like, hey, you need a chaplain, you may be like, it doesn't really matter because you'll have a chaplain with them anyway. You've been using the Phobos Librarian for move, shoot, move. Well, I mean, move, shoot, move is a cool rule. Pop them back behind the wall. Yeah, I mean, that's cool. Shenanigans like that to mess with your opponent are pretty cool. I was going to say, I think I have a Phobos Librarian. I don't think he's painted, though. I never really ran any of the Phobos characters before. Yeah, I was going to say, I never really ran any of the Phobos characters before 10th edition. I ran the Phobos Captain a couple of times because you could have that 4 damage sniper rifle, which was pretty swingy but kind of awesome when it swung high. But yeah, I mean, I only ran him maybe in like a handful of games and was like, he's too swingy. I don't necessarily like units that are super swingy. I prefer to play sort of like more percentage based games. Until I think get Infernal Pistols only mean 6 inches. Well, that's why you rapid ingress them, right? Because if you rapid ingress them 12 inches away from the enemy, if you can do that, then you can basically jump on top of them and you can almost guarantee all those Infernal Pistols have like the melt the 2 bonus from half range. The trick about the rapid ingress for the Death Company, at least in my opinion, is I find it's a lot harder to rapid ingress a 10-man unit and be fully in cover than it is a 5-man unit. Like, if the terrain on the board will let you put 5 men from rapid ingress into like a ruin or something, or a concealed position where the enemy won't be able to draw line of sight to them, and you'll be good. That's much harder to do, in my opinion, with a 10-man unit. It's possibly one of the reasons I don't like 10-man units. Or maybe I'm just bad at my rapid ingress placement for models, but I do think it's usually you can sneak a 5-man in where you need to be. Yeah, Eugene bought the Sangre Guard just before 10th came out. Don't feel too bad, Eugene. I get 30 Sangre Guard. I want to say like 24 of them or something are fully painted, and I was in the process of painting the last 6. But ever since 10th edition has released, my motivation to paint the last 6 has kind of evaporated. The same as I was going to say, the same as they evaporate in every game that I take them in. They just die so friggin' fast for how many points there are. They'll be back, don't worry though. Like, if you bought Sangre Guard, you wouldn't have wasted your money. It'll be 1 or 2 more balanced data slates, maybe. We'll get to a point where like still no one's running Sangre Guard, and then Games Workshop will finally, because they did this last edition. This took them ages to try and figure out where they wanted Sangre Guard. They had like 2 or 3 patches where they were rubbish, and then they finally got to a patch where they made them too good. And then we had like, I don't know how long we had of them being too good, maybe like 1 season, 3 months, 6 months maybe. And then the second they nerfed them again, no one's taken them, and then they brought them back down. So it was like Sangre Guard yo-yo at the moment. Like, I've said it a few times, it's like Games Workshop don't really know how to balance Sangre Guard, in my opinion. They don't have a clear purpose for that unit. And I think that unit is such a dedicated like killing unit usually that needs that clear purpose so they can balance it, but they just don't seem to be able to get the balance on the Sangre Guard, right? Shane, good evening. Comment from the list, Mean Street. Death Company goes into Executioners, no foot slogging them. Yeah, but you can't go into the Executioner with jump packs, right? I haven't really run Death Company without jump packs, honestly. Like, ever. Like, it's never been a thing that's been high on my radar. I've always run the Death Company with jump packs. Even if we go back, like, 15 years to 2nd edition, I was running them with jump packs. I was always a jump pack sort of guy for Death Company. Ink says, are Sangre Guard too expensive? I think they are, Inks. I'm working on a video this week for the channel that talks about Sangre Guard point costs and stuff, so it'll likely be out on Friday. But yeah, I kind of think they're maybe not too expensive, but I think that, like, if we really want to break it down and compare them to the Death Company, I think the Death Company are almost better in every way, and they're like 9 points cheaper. They will be better. 100%. They'll be better in the future. It always happens. Like, I haven't run my aggressors in like 3 years or something, and now all you guys are in here like, John, you need to try 6 aggressors, and that's what I was saying. Like, I can't remember the last time someone was in here saying, John, you need to try these 6 models that you already have that are fully painted, because normally I paint stuff to be competitive, and then it ends up falling out of like competitive play, and it goes and sits in a drawer for a very long time. So it's nice to hear you guys saying like, hey, play this thing because it's really competitive, and I'm going, I already got all those things fully painted. That's a nice situation to be in. And it doesn't nearly happen enough for me, because I have a lot of fully painted stuff that I guess falls out. I feel like all my bike captains and bike chaplains from last edition are all low on the pecking order now. YouTube screwed me. I just saw this. Good evening, Eternal Crusader. Yeah, sometimes the YouTube notifications are questionable, even if you've got them set to always on. Sometimes they don't. I feel like they can be a little bit questionable sometimes. Anyway, good evening. How are you? What have you been crusading with? What's your favourite Black Templars unit at the moment, Eternal Crusader, then? Because You must have played a good few games of BTs, have you? The Black Templar's changes look pretty good as well, to be honest. Sangre Guard were costed like they had 3 wounds and a 4++. I think they probably need to give them, Benno, 3 wounds and a 4++, and you know, like, and cost them, because I think the problem that the Games Workshop have with Sangre Guard is they keep trying to I think they should be made into like a much more elite unit, almost like 8-bound or something, or Exalted 8-bound, where like, you want 1 unit of them, and the unit you've got are like super powerful, but you cannot possibly spend many more points on like spamming 3 of them, because I think that's the problem, is there's a very fine line there where like everybody starts spamming 3 Sangre Guard, and I suppose that would be a pretty annoying for like people like me that have got 30 Sangre Guard, if you could only ever run 10 of them or something. But I think it would be better for the game if they could just figure out like, hey, Sangre Guard, we're designing them to really kill such and such, and as such, you know, they're crazy expensive in points, but they, you know, because they literally talked on their meta watch about like units need to be able to do one thing, right? Like that's you know, they said on their meta watch article they don't want guns that are just super effective against everything, and that was what was happening with the Wraith Knights and like their cannons and stuff like that, right? They're like, hey, this is supposed to be an anti-vehicle gun, but it turns out it's super good at killing infantry. Well, for me, and I mean, I guess we could all have our opinion here. My opinion of Sangre Guard probably is, like, if you think about, like, there's 3 types of units in 40k. There's, like, trash, there's elites, and there's armor, right? And I guess what I mean by trash is, like, I guess I would even include, like, a regular Space Marine in trash. Trash I'm talking about is, like, toughness 4 and less. Elites would be like 5 to 8, and armor would be 9+, maybe. So like, you need to decide what Sangre Guard are good at. And for me, I think I would be saying Sangre Guard are an elite killing unit. They kill enemy elites. They don't. I suppose they could be, if you can kill elites, you can kill trash as well. But like, the point of Sangre Guard would be to kill enemy elite units, like Terminators, or I suppose you could I'm literally painting heavy intercessors. You could bundle stuff that's like that into that bracket. You know, like toughness 6, toughness 7, maybe even some toughness 8. That's probably where you want Sangre Guard to land. That's what they should be killing. And then they're not good against armor. The problem is at the moment they're only strength 5 or 6. So they're not good against elites. They're not good against armor. So you end up in a situation that we've got right now where like Sangre Guard are good at killing trash, and that's really all they're good at killing, maybe? I mean, I guess you can pay some strats on them, and you can make them decent at killing elites, but like, I think they should have been designed as a unit that kills elites. And then they could have balanced it from there, maybe? Who knows? I mean, I'm not a GW balancer, I guess. The Blade Guard with jump packs, yeah, but Blade Guard, you know, Blade Guard are a weird unit in that you would think, when you look at a Blade Guard and he's got that big storm shield and he's got that big mastercrafted power sword, to me it kind of feels like Blade Guard should be a unit that kill elites, a bit like Terminators, I suppose, right? But like right now, Blade Guard bounce off elites most of the time. They may be a little bit better if you're in the Sons of Sanguinius detachment, but if you're in Gladiators detachment and you're only strength 5, I can't tell you how many times I've like rolled my Blade Guard hit rolls and had like 12 hits, and then when we actually get down to it, the Blade Guard do like 2 damage because the AP on their weapons is not enough, I guess, and the strength on the weapons is not enough. So it just feels like Blade Guard don't really kill things anymore. Hit the like button, says Go For It Painting. Thanks, Go For It Painting. I never asked if anyone's in here watching and you want to hit the like button. I'd appreciate it. Kevin says, what are you saying, Kevin? I'd say the Brutalis But it's so hard to get where it needs to go before it blows up. My last game versus Knights, it pretty much held a point behind cover the whole game and did nothing else. You know, like, I love the Brutalis' melee profile, but I think you're right. It's a very difficult unit to get into position. I guess you could reserve it, but like, I kind of hate reserving a big unit like that and sort of crossing your fingers and trying to make that 9-inch charge, because that, I mean, that rarely works at tournament play. Maybe it works in like a casual game, you know, you roll a 10 on your 9-inch charge, you're like, haha, you know, like, now I win this casual game because I rolled a 10. But I really hate going to tournament play and relying on like 9-inch charges, because 9-inch charges are super unreliable. In tournament play, I feel like you make 1 out of like 5 9-inch charges. Like, it's not a good charge percentage, and you don't want to be building your strategy around it. So yeah, I mean, you could take a Brutalis and try and run it straight up the middle, but I mean, that's pretty risky. It's not that strong. A couple of Gladiator Lancers could drop it in 1 turn, I guess. Maybe even 1 Gladiator Lancer could drop it in 1 turn, because it's only saving on 6s against that main Gladiator Cannon. Or maybe it's 5s. I think the main Gladiator Cannon is -3. I suppose the Repulsor Executioner Cannon is -4, though, is it? Actually, I don't know. Maybe the Gladiator main cannon is -4. It usually doesn't come into play because most things you usually shoot the Gladiator Cannon at have an invulnerable save. Just for some reason, Marine Dreadnoughts don't have an invulnerable save. But most other things do have invuln saves. Marine Dreadnoughts are just not loved by GW. Last week there were 2 Raven Guard lists that went 4 and a 1. If they can do it, we can do it. What was the do you know what units were like the standout for the Raven Guard lists? Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning in tonight. It's been a little while since we were live, so it's nice to see you all here. And now I'm going to try and get, now that like summer is kind of winding down, I'm going to make sure that we try and get some more painting streams done. I was going to say, I don't know if there's anything that I'm desperate to have fully painted for like an event or something like that, but I'd like to get back into the swing of getting models finished. Right before 10th edition came out, I think I got like 4 units finished. Unfortunately, a bunch of those units went into Legends, as is the way, but I guess. But evening, JT Money. How are you? Have you tried New Recruit EU as a replacement for Battlescribe? I haven't tried anything for a replacement for Battlescribe yet. I'm still using the GW app. It was very nice of them to give us like 1 free list, I guess. I wasn't expecting that. So I've been using my 1 free army list to just tinker with what I have, I guess. I thought it was going to be like you weren't going to be able to use their point thing at all if you didn't pay for it. So I was fully expecting to have to pay for it, but like I typically only really run 1 list at a time, and I try and iterate on that list between tournament to tournament. So in my case, like, hey, I might get Warhammer Plus at some point, but for now I'm quite happy to just keep using the free one. Andrew was saying to me that Battlescribe had been updated though, so if you haven't used Battlescribe yet for 10th edition, apparently it has now been updated and you can find lists and you can find the units into Battlescribe, at least for the indices. And yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be too long before we get the Space Marine Codex, right? So we're waiting for the Space Marine Codex to go on pre-order, possibly next month. In one of my games, 3 Sisters Exorcists killed a Brutalis in 1 or 2 turns. Yeah, I mean, I've been playing against the Triple Exorcist. That's an indirect fire one with the strength 10. And I actually killed one of my things in Overwatch. Indirect. I mean, I guess they just removed that this week, but I lost a Predator tank to its indirect Overwatch. And I was going to say, I was surprised. That's probably the best way to put it. I was surprised that the indirect fire was going to kill a Predator tank. I was like, it's D6 damage though, it's not bad for indirect. Sawed Off says new recruit is actually good. Evening Mike, how you doing? Evening Reds, good evening. The current Space Marine meta is extremely temporary, says Rizio. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I guess it will just depend on how long we have to wait, right? For a codex, and then also suppose it will depend on the detachments in the codex, because I was going to say, I mean, the detachments could come out and be perfectly balanced, but the detachments could also come out and there's like one detachment that's miles ahead of the other ones. Kevin's trying to build a list with 6 dreadnoughts, hoping it'll be fun. 2 Brutalis, 2 Librarians, the Ballistus and a Death Company. Why do you need 2 Librarians? Is it for the aura? Because you can only teleport 1 unit a turn, right? So what's the thought behind 2 Librarian dreadnoughts? Yeah, Mike's been working on... How long have you been working on the Thunderhawk now, Mike? Here's a question. The Thunderhawk you're working on, is the person you're working on it for, are they actually going to play it? Like in a game of 40k, or is it, are they working on it for like Heresy or something? Man, my room here that I paint out of, or that I hobby out of, is jam-packed. Like, I barely have any shelf space whatsoever. I actually got shelves up now behind the door, so the door doesn't open all the way. So, like, as much as I want a Thunderhawk, I don't honestly think I could ever find somewhere to store it. So, it's probably a good thing that I don't have a shelf big enough for a Thunderhawk, because I don't know what I would use it for. And I can't see myself playing it in too many games, right? Like, it's a vanity piece that you would play in. I mean, I guess it would be fun one time to turn up to GT or something with a Thunderhawk gunship. But you're not placing in the top 10 with it, right? Dwayne says evening. Good evening, Dwayne. How are you? Sorry, just 1 librarian. Oh, sorry, Kevin, I read that wrong. I hope aggressors don't become meta, but anti-meta. It sounds like, based on what you guys are telling me with the aggressors, that they're really strong. I guess the next thing I'll do after these heavy intercessors is get my biologists made and painted, I guess. Or at least made and like 3-color painted. Because honestly, probably with the heavy intercessors, I'm just aiming for 3 colors so that I at least have them ready to go if I need to start working on them. Because I haven't quite worked out my list. I've got about 9 more weeks till the GT I'm going to, so I mean that'll be like 9 more games. Hopefully get up against a few more different armies, and then use that knowledge to try and build a better list than what I currently have. I think the Marine Codex will be out probably before the GT though, so that could throw a giant spanner in the works, I guess. I think there's going to be like 6 detachments, I think they said, in the Marine Codex. So if one of them is really good at melee, that'll be really interesting. I imagine one of them has to be like a melee-based advance and charge type chapter tactic, right? Kind of like what White Scars used to have, right? That's what we're expecting, or we're hoping. Phil says, evening, he's going to have to get off work. It's getting in the way of hobbying, but... Yeah, I was going to say, work always gets in the way of hobbying. You know, what also gets in the way of my hobbying is making YouTube videos, but that needs to be done. Love what you do. Please stream, as this is definitely worth being pushed in the algorithm. I haven't... Do you know what? There was a time there where I was streaming 2 or 3 hangouts every week. And maybe that was a little bit too much for me. But I probably would like to get in a place where I think it's summer. I guess I always stream a little bit less in summer without even trying. You know, it's like people people arrange shit on the weekends in the summer. The summer in Scotland doesn't last very long, so you take advantage of it while you can. So as we move into winter and there's literally no reason to go outside anymore, I'll make sure that there's a few more painting streams, and you know, there is new Primaris models coming out and stuff like that. I think I've got over the fact that they legends all my models now. Maybe I was a little bit upset about all my models being legends. I was gonna say, I'm over that as much as I can be, so we're getting back into painting a bit more. And I got a new overhead camera that's not annoying like my old one. Every time I used to do a painting stream, I ended up hitting the old one. This one's got a bit of movement in it. Like, I could bring it in a bit closer, I could put it... Oh, you can see it there, eh? Look, there it is. New overhead camera, huh? Move it around a bit. A little bit cooler. Peaches the Destroyer. Is that like millions of peaches? Peaches for me. Space Wolves being my only army, been enjoying the Blood Angels talk, but can't help but feel bad for them when Space Wolves have the Woven Dread at 130 and the Death Company Dread isn't nearly as good. Thoughts on comparing the two? The Woven Dread's 130, huh? How many times in a round can the Woven Dread fight though? Because the Death Company Dreadnought can fight in an unlimited amount of times. I was going to say, you're going to tell me now the Woven Dread can fight that many times. You know what? I have not fought against any of the Woven Dreads yet. Which is funny because I actually, at a tournament last year, I think it was 2 different events, I met this guy, Stuart. And he's a friend of my friend Brett, who sometimes comes on the channel. And Stuart plays Space Wolves, and we had 2 really close games. And both games were really fun. You know when you play someone at a tournament and it's just like a really wholesome game where no one, you know, like sometimes you have games where you have to like really be on your toes and every decision you make is being questioned, or everything's being checked 100%. And it was just a game where it was like just a solid, really fun game to play. And I said to him like afterwards, oh dude, you know, really enjoyed our games together. We've got to get you on the channel anytime you want to come and play your Space Wolves on the channel. Because I actually think I'd never had Space Wolves on the channel. I think I've been 3 years. I don't think I've ever played a game of Space Wolves on the channel. Kev has Space Wolves as a second army, but he's too scared to play me, I guess, with Space Wolves. Because he knows that the Space Wolves don't really have any chance against the Blood Angels. I mean, let's be real here. It's lovely of you to tune in, Mr. Space Wolf, but let's be real. I mean, you're playing second fiddle here. But anyway, I was trying to get my friend to come on, and the guy I met at this tournament, the Space Wolf player, because it was actually both of our games were like super close. I think I won both games by maybe like less than 10 points. And in one of the games, I think he possibly could have won, but his target priority was just a little bit off. But he didn't have a lot of experience against Blood Angels, so maybe he picked to kill the wrong target. And in a tournament, although you definitely want to win, you're not going to tell your opponent if they picked the wrong target, right? So I wanted to get him on. I definitely wanted to get him on, but no, I haven't had the pleasure of fighting him yet in 10th edition. But maybe I'll get a game in the tournament I'm going to in a couple of months' time, or 10 weeks' time, or something like that. I do enjoy playing Space Wolves. I think it's always a close match, and I really struggled last edition with Woven, man. Like, the fight on death from Woven. Actually, one of the tournaments that I got to the top table at, I got beat by a Space Wolf player, because it was like, that was when Death Company were super strong, so I was playing the Death Company secondary, where you got points for killing units with Death Company. So it was like, I had an entire melee list, and like, the Space Wolf player had like 3 fights lasts and fight on death with the Woven, and it was just like, man, I'm gonna really struggle here because all these things counter me pretty hard. So yeah, I literally lost the tournament at the top table against Space Wolves last edition. It'd be nice to get, you know what, I haven't been to the top table now for probably like, oh, it's been too long, probably like 12-18 months maybe. So I need to get back into the swing of things and get some top table placings again. I think after Armour of Contempt came out, or after Armour of Contempt was removed last edition, I struggled a bit, honestly. Blood Angels were really, really good with Armour of Contempt, and I guess it really, really hurt us when it went away. What looks like what is working at the moment is giving Lone Operative to as much stuff as possible and reserve the rest to counterpunch. There's not that many ways Space Marines can give lone operatives to squad, is there? There's the Phobos library, and what else gives lone operative? Or do you think just like take assassins and shit that are lone operatives? One thing that we know is that the Space Marine book was probably written before the balance data slate, says Reziel. Reziel, don't shit on our hopes and dreams, man. You come in here with your realism. We don't want to hear it. We need our, what is it they call it? Copium. It's like hope, but for coping. That's what we need. We need Space Marine players, we need the copium, right? We don't want to know that the rulebook was probably already written before the balanced data slate. God damn you. I'm gonna pretend I never heard that comment. They haven't, that's why they've not put up for pre-order yet. They haven't finalized the Space Marine Codex. How dare you? Well, I mean, on the plus side, they haven't finalized the Blood Angels Codex, because we don't even know when that's coming out, so we've got that to look forward to. Jason says, the Space Marine Codex was written before 10th... Jason! Come on, man! You as well! Look at all this negativity! How do you know that? You can't possibly know that. You're making it up. It's lies! You can't know it. It's not been written. I mean... Sure, I don't even know what to think now. You guys have stumped me. Nothing else gives it, says Mike. Monkey Llama. I thought it was seven detachments. It might have been 7 detachments, Monkey. Sorry, maybe I don't have a great memory at the moment, so maybe, what did I say, 6? Maybe it's 6 or 7, something like that. It's a good number of detachments is what it is. I think it's definitely going to be a good number of detachments. And there's got to be a melee-centric detachment. And it'll be interesting to see if the Gladius detachment remains unchanged, I guess. Because I do think that the Doctrines, like Doctrines in their current form, with like the Advance and Charge and the Advance and Shoot heavy weapons and stuff like that, I actually think the Doctrines in their current form are kind of ridiculously flexible and also a lot of fun. So I like the Gladius in the current form for the most part. Spicy says there's a Raven Guard list with strike and multiple units with lone operative. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking more about like Space Marines in general, like, because there's not that many ways Blood Angels can get lone operative. I mean, I guess you could take like the Sanguinar because he's a lone operative. You could take the Phobos Librarian and some Cursors or Infiltrators because that's lone operative, but there's not that many units with the lone operatives. I guess Scouts. Is there any way to get Eliminators lone operative, or are they stealthy? I actually forget what their camo cloaks do now. I assume they're stealthy. Serenade is correct. What did he say? Serenade said it would have had to be written around February so it could get printed. You guys. Good evening, Gav. How are you? Thoughts on the STO list? I don't know, Gav, because I think I am like there's some armor units that I really like. Like I really like Vindicators. I really like the Repulsor. And I think it's because the Vindicators and the Repulsor are both above toughness 10, right? I think that's possibly why I like those things the most. I think toughness 11 and toughness 12 vehicles, if you have some of them like complementing the rest of your list, I think that can actually like do a lot, because like sometimes the opponent will target one of those toughness 10 plus. Like I think Andrew did it where like he targeted, let's say he targeted the Vindicator tank and it's toughness 11, so he's only going to wound me on 5s. Well, the second he targets me, I'll just smoke screen it, so he's -1 to hit, and I'm ignoring 1 AP. I save on 2s with the Vindicator anyway, right? So like he's hitting me at like -2 and he's only wounding on 5s or something. It's like, I want to say he shot like all his Exorcists And I get Exorcists aren't the craziest thing. They're just like strength 10, d6 plus 2, minus 2, flat 6 damage. Sorry, not flat 6 damage, d6 damage. But he had 3 of them, so you know, you're talking like, if he rolls like 3 or 4 on each dice, I guess you're talking like 12, 14 strength 10 shots at minus 2. Like, and he shot that at the Vindicator, and it's like he didn't do any damage. And I think he shot that at the Repulsor one time, and maybe 1 went through and he rolled like a 4. So it's like always indirect fire shooting does 4 damage or does 0 damage, and maybe it cost me a command point, but sure. I mean, I'm willing to pay a command point if it means like all your indirect fire is going to do like 4 damage to me, right? So if I'm building a list for STO, which is the Scottish Takeover tournament that Gav's asking about, I'm probably gonna bring some T12 and T11 armor to back up my Blood Angels. Like, I think that's good. And it's funny, like I said on one of my other streams, Gav, that Games Workshop said in their MetaWatch article they didn't like guns that could do everything. You know, that's why we're talking about removing the devastating wounds from the Wraith Blades, the Wraith Knights, because they're like, oh, we don't like guns that do everything, right? And it was like, well, look at the Demolisher Cannon, because for me, because Space Marines get Oath of Moments, full hits and wound rerolls, I feel like Demolisher Cannons kind of can do everything, because they're going to get blast, so against a 10-man squad, you're getting a minimum of 6 shots, but you could also get 11 shots, because it's 3 plus d6, so it's a minimum of 4, plus you would get the 2 from the blast. Yeah, 6 to 11 shots against like elite infantry. They're strength 14, so even against toughness 7, you're wounding on 2s, and if you've got Oath of Moment up, then you're wounding pretty good. And into vehicles as well, they're pretty good as well. I think, you know, the Demolisher Cannon, yes, it's got short range, but that can be offset by the fact that you can move those Vindicators 9 inches and you could advance and shoot the Demolisher Cannon because of Devastator Doctrine. So, at that point, your 33-inch threat range plus your D6. So, I haven't nailed in a list yet, if that's a final list. And I've got a few things to try out. People are telling me to try out Aggressors with Bolter Discipline. So I've got a few things to try out yet, but I'll definitely be complementing my Blood Angels with some toughness 10 plus tanks, I guess. Toughness 10 is actually kind of okay as well. Like, I ran that new Ballistus Dreadnought a few times, which is toughness 10 with a 2-up save. It seems decent. I thought it was decent at 170 points, so I guess it's decent-ish at, 150 now? So toughness 10 with like a 2-up save is pretty decent as well. David, thank you so much for 13 months of membership. That's super appreciated. You have awoken now. You are officially woke. Thank you so much. Yeah, so something like that. Like, there's definitely going to be some armor backing up the Blood Angels. There might be a couple of squads of Death Company. There might be Death Company Dreadnought. There might be some heavy intercessors, that's why I'm painting them. I might even get some bolter incursors on the table as well. I got a few ideas. I need to figure out my final synergies. And obviously there's a few lists I've still not played in 10th edition. And I guess things that are going to have all changed this week, I guess, with the balance date slate, right? Egerton, is that how you say it? Egerton, good evening. Robert says the lieutenant for Leviathan. Oh yeah, that Lieutenant Robert does indeed have lone operative. That's a good point. Eugene says, I played a couple of games against Sisters of Battle recently and agree that the toughness 10 or less vehicles will most likely die very quickly from the Exorcists, so it should be T11. Yeah, I mean, I think T11 is kind of a break point, right? Because, like, I know Desolation Marines aren't going to be popular anymore, but like when Desolation Marines were there, you know, they're strength 10 on those crack missiles. Yeah, strength 10. I had to think about that for a second. So yeah, I think that there's a few weapons in the game that are like strength 9 or 10, and just being that toughness 11. I actually really like the Vindicators at 205 points. I thought they were maybe a little bit pricey at 205. Like, I was like, it is a lot at 205s, but they usually perform pretty well for me, so I'm okay playing it. But now they've taken Vindicators down to 190. I feel very happy about Vindicators. If I had a third Vindicator, I might honestly just run 3 Vindicator tanks and have that as my as my fire support in my list, because they all seem really difficult to bring down, and you can essentially, they got 2 up save, and you can essentially ignore 2 AP with cover and Armor of Contempt. And they can shoot their main cannon, they can shoot their Demolisher cannon into melee with themselves as well, which is really nice. So like Angron or something is in melee with the Vindicator tank, I don't care, I'll still blow him up with the Demolisher cannon. Like, I just, you know, technically I could pay 1 CP and like fall back and shoot with a Doctrine, but sometimes it's fine to just slap Oath of Moment on the thing that's in melee with you, save your CP and just blow it up anyway with the Demolisher cannon, right? I ran 3 Vindicators in 8th edition. Oh yeah, they used to have like that stratagem where if they all shot the same target and stuff. Same, I believe the Predators used to have a strat like that as well. I can't quite remember what it was called, but I do remember the strat for the Predators. Siegebreaker formation was that seems to ring a bell, yeah. What about you, Gav? Are you still thinking Chaos Knights? Did they perform well enough for you at Brewhammer? I think I saw that you got top 3, did you? Joe, I'd like to play you at the top table actually, Gav. I don't know if my list will be good enough to get to the top table, but I'd like to finally get to play you again. And it would be nice if it was the top table, because I'm still not beating you. I feel like that would be the perfect time to beat you though, right? Like at the top table, at an event. That would be like that. Yeah, I'm gonna dream about that tonight. That's gonna be like, what do you call? I don't even know what you call a dream when it's the polar opposite of a nightmare. That's the dream that I need to have. Played 3 Elder lists and a Demons list, and I lost to a mirror match. Oh, I read that you lost to the mirror match, yeah. God, if I'd played 3 Elder lists before the nerf, I feel like I would have just had 3 losses. A good job beating 3 Elder players. Yeah, that was why there were so many Elder players. So many Elder players in all these tournaments, and all these Knights players as well. It's kind of ridiculous. I wonder how much Imperial Knights are going to be hurting as well, because Imperial Knights have had a lot of nerfs already, like 10th edition. Like Towering got changed, their reroll 1s got changed, their Bondsman abilities just got changed. It's like Imperial Knights, I don't know how strong Knights are going to be now, but it feels like they've had a bunch of targeted changes against them already. Like, plus, I suppose the other thing we were saying was, I think the Space Marine Codex might come out before STO. So that might be a thing. I guess we'll also need to decide, Gav, if they're doing a team tournament again this year, because if they are doing the team tournament, we'll need to defend our championship, our legacy. I was going to say, hopefully I'll do better this year. Imperial Knights got nerfed all the way into irrelevancy, just a boring stat check gatekeeper now. You really think they're irrelevant, even if they did like 10 armigers, Rez? But yeah, it definitely feels like I'll be surprised if I don't see them drop like 10% on win rate, because that seems like a lot of target stuff right at them. I kind of wish that there had been more playtesting for this edition, though, because that was kind of my big takeaway. Is it feels like it feels like this edition came out and there could have definitely been more better playtesting for this edition. I don't actually really know how much playtesting there was, or how the logistics of the playtesting for like a new edition of 40k Go, but yeah, I'm still not. I still think that there's a discrepancy there between melee and some of the high toughness stuff. Because I think if, like, I played Miles' Tyranids list like 2 weeks ago, and I kind of felt bad for Miles in that we played 2 turns. I was gonna say he went second, but we played 2 whole turns and he hadn't killed a single model. Like, I think he'd done a bit of damage to my repulsor, like maybe like 4 or 5 wounds to it, but I mean that was it, right? Like, in obviously, like, my list, my tank heavy list at the moment, pretty much kills like 3 tanks a turn. Obviously, you got Oath of Moment in there, and every friggin' tank has a hunter killer missile on it, which you just ping off in the early turns. But like my list kills 3 tanks every turn, so if 2 turns in I've killed 6, not just tanks, I suppose, like monsters as well, or you know, nasty things like that, I suppose. Like, so if we're 2 turns in and I've just killed 6 of your big heavy units, I think I'd maybe killed like one of the Tyrannofexes and like one of the Malceptors, and another Malceptor was down to like 4 wounds, and maybe I'd killed like another squad of guys. I can't remember. Maybe it was like he'd done 4 damage to Repulsor. It's like, okay, like that just to me tells me that like armor's just into certain matchups kind of imbalanced. And I guess you could argue that Miles didn't have enough anti-tank stuff in his list for Nids, but I mean, he did have, I think he did have 6, I can't remember if they're called Zonothropes or Neurothropes, the ones that basically used to do all the smiting, but now they have like las cannon type weaponry on them at 36 inches, I think, and it was just like a couple of those bounced off and that was it. That's all he's got. Oh, I mean, I did kill one of the Tyrannofexes pretty early, which helped. Armiger spam and or Questores is about all you'll see. Maybe a Castellan shows up here or be there because it's no longer strictly worse than taking Questores. Yeah, I mean, I think you will probably still see some Armiger spam, but maybe it's gone, I guess. I actually still think Armigers are really good. Like, I think the OC8 on them is kind of brutal, and the fact that OC doesn't degrade on them is really good. But like I said, I only played Knights in 10th edition right at the start, so obviously they've been hit with like 3 nerfs by now. The rumour is the pre-orders last week is September. The pre-order for Space Marine Codex, you say? Yeah, I think that's what Gav was running. I think he was running War Dog spam. Like, I don't know how many War Dogs, but there is playtesting being done, says Mr. Snake, and it's by us. Yeah, I think you're probably not. I think you're probably not far wrong, Mr. Snake, honestly. I'm not sure that's what we want to hear when we're ready to spend all the money on the new edition of the game, but it was 13 War Dogs, was it? Nice. I don't know how I do against 13 War Dogs. Hey, if you want, I'm playing Votann. I'm playing Andrew's Votann next week, Gav. If you want a game on Wednesday night before the tournament, let me know, and I'm happy to get crushed by 13 Knights. Do you know what? I haven't played Chaos Knights yet either in 10th edition. I think I must have played about 7 armies. And I guess the game against Death Guard was largely irrelevant because Death Guard are completely changed now. But I think in total, I think this edition I've played like 7 different armies. I think I've played the Sisters, the Imperial Guard, the Chaos Demons, the Knights, the Eldar, the Tyranids. Like I said, Death Guard, but I think that was kind of irrelevant, so that would be 7. I'll say, oh, World Eaters. I've played 8. I haven't played against Orcs. I haven't heard too much about Orcs for 10th edition, so I guess maybe I can get a game against Orcs. Maybe we can get a game against the Chaos Knights as well. Obviously got Votan this week, so yeah, I suppose that's the problem with being like an adult with family, is like if you only play once a week, then when a new edition comes out, it takes you like the best part of half a year to get one game again, and you don't know much from one game, right? So it takes you the best part of half a year to get a game against every single different faction now. Crazy. We live to test. Yeah, Jason, you're right, I think. GW needs to shift all the old stock before they legend it. Oof. Someone's better. What old stock are they shifting? The thing is, even if they had old stock to shift, they could just put it on made to order, like in 6 months' time, and even if it, like, technically it might already be made, it will sell. Because people love, like, if you're telling me that maybe, like, you know, we've had Primaris Mephiston for a while now. I bet you if they did a made to order of, like, the classic Mephiston kit, just because they had like 100 or 200 of those kits lying around, they would sell, because people love the old kits. People like completing their collections and stuff like that. So I never really buy the, you know, people say like, oh well, they're just doing this because they're gonna try and sell them and then legends them. I never really buy that, because I think it'll be a cold day in hell before the old kits don't sell anymore, right? Like, the old kits will always sell. I know that, for example, people loved that Blood Angels tactical squad. If Games Workshop were sitting on like 100,000 of those, not that they are, but if they were, they would put out, we're doing a made to order for 90 days for that old tactical squad, and people would be queuing up harder than they queue up for like the Leviathan box. I don't think they're going to get rid of all the old tanks. They might get rid of a couple of them, but I think there will be a number of old tanks still kicking around. I don't think they're going to get rid of the Vindicator tanks, or maybe the Predator tanks. They'll get rid of some of the old tanks, don't get me wrong, but I think some of those old tanks will survive for another edition. Maybe they'll be gone, you know, this time 3 years from now, but for now I think you're safe. They stopped making old tacticals like 4 years ago, 7 years ago even. I mean, people still love that old kit, and occasionally you see on Reddit that old kit does come up for sale, or people do find that old kit. So yeah, if they put that old Blood Angels tactical squad kit on sale, they would sell it 100%. It would. I occasionally find bits from that kit in like my bits box, and they're so handy to have. Yeah, when they come up on like eBay or that, sometimes they come up for like $100 a box, those old tactical squad kits. I'm sure I saw some guy selling them in like one of the Facebook groups for like 50 or 60, and people were biting his, what do you call it, biting their hands off, that's it. People were biting his hands off to buy them at like $60, which is probably like at least double what they originally cost. As funny how you never know that's gonna happen with, right? I saw a YouTube video of a guy that had bought the very first iPhone. Like, I don't even know what an iPhone looked like for the first generation iPhone. I think the first iPhone I ever saw was like the iPhone 3GS. So I honestly don't know what the first iPhone even looked like. But I saw that someone had bought the very first iPhone and they'd kept it in their cellophane and they'd put it up for auction. And who knows? I have no idea what the first iPhone would have cost either. Probably like, because iPhones these days are like $600-700, right? So the first iPhone was probably like $300. It's probably half the price because it wouldn't have had half the features that the iPhone has now, right? And some guy on YouTube spent like $45,000 buying a brand new sealed iPhone, and I was like, what? Why? Can you even make a phone call on that anymore? Like, it's 20-something years old. Like, the SIM card won't even fit. What are you buying it for? No, iPhones aren't as much as $1,200, man. They're like $700. Maybe if you went for like a Pro, it would be $1,200. But honestly, I feel like there's no reason to buy an iPhone Pro unless you're like a professional photographer. Because I've had a regular iPhone for like 6 years or something, and the photos it takes are amazing. And I think the only thing you get with the Pro is like a better camera. And maybe you can film like 4K video. Or something like that. Like, it's... Yeah, I think there's no reason to buy an iPhone Pro, honestly. I mean, I'd like a Pro, I just don't think it's worth the extra, however much money it is. Extra $500 for a better camera. Original iPhones were 600 USD. Okay, so I guess getting 60 grand like 10 years later is pretty good, right? That's like 100% increase on your money in 10 years. So what does that work out? 10% a year. I mean, 10% a year doesn't sound that much, I suppose, but it is, I guess. Inks as a pro. Well, hey, I'll be jealous, Inks. Congrats. Maybe you got sucked in. I mean, Apple are very, very good at selling you. What do you call it? Like, Apple are like the best company in the world at marketing. Like, they make you want a product you didn't even know you wanted after you watched the trailer, right? Like, I have an Apple Watch that I use for like barely anything. I was gonna say, like, I use it for my health data and my rings. That's like it. So it's like a glorified health tracker, I guess. But you pay the price because it's got like, what is it, like heart? If I have an irregular heartbeat, it'll warn me that I have an irregular heartbeat. So like, it could potentially save your life or something like that, right? I mean, it genuinely does actually save people's lives every year because their Apple Watch like alerts them like, hey, you're having a heart attack right now, you need to go to the hospital or something. So it does genuinely work. But I mean, yeah, Apple are super good, I think, at marketing you, selling you things you don't even necessarily know you need or want, but by the time you've watched their marketing video, you do want it. So no, yeah, I get it. I'm a sucker for Apple devices. I just don't always buy them. Google picks all the way down with Apple. I don't really... It's the same as the console wars, right? It's like, some people love PlayStation, some people love Xbox. I think they're probably both good. I grew up with PlayStation, so if I buy one, it'll be, you know, it's what you know, right? Other people grew up with Xbox, they'll buy that. I've had Android phones before. The problem is, like, once you get an Apple phone, you're sort of in their ecosystem, and they're very good at keeping you in their ecosystem, and all your photos and everything are in the cloud or whatever. So, but I think Google's got all that as well now. I think Apple were ahead for a while. I think it's caught up. But yeah, no, I get some people want to. Hey, you know, you know what you know, right? Like, for me, it's the same as, like, say you bought a TV and it's the best TV you ever bought. next time you go to buy a new TV, you're probably like, well, we bought that last TV that's really good, so we should probably just buy that one again, right? I think there's something to do with, it's the same as mobile phones, I think. If you got a really good experience with your iPhone, your Google, then great. We actually use a Google Pixel on our live stream. You know, when we're doing our live battle reports, the camera that's on the roof, that is like doing the overhead camera, that's actually a Google Pixel. It's not the newest one, but it's one with a fairly decent camera in it. There's a lower return in the stock market. I guess it just seems like a lot of money for an old iPhone that possibly doesn't work. I honestly don't know if you could take a phone call on it. Robert, Xiaomi phones are the best value. I haven't even heard of that. Smartphones have made the world a worse place. I mean, smartphones have made a lot of people glue their eyes to their phones, I guess. See, if we're doing like movie night or anything, I always try and put my phone out of reach. So like I'm not tempted to just sit and scroll through. We call it doom scrolling in our house. It's basically when you're scrolling your phone with no purpose or direction. And there's also nothing interesting either, right? Like, at some point you've read everything that's going on in the day on Facebook or Twitter or whatever. So you're just scrolling for no real reason except you're scrolling because the dopamine hit or whatever you want to call it. So we call it doom scrolling. So if you catch yourself doom scrolling, I guess that's when you should put your phone down or put it away or something. You have to know that you're doing it though. Apple came up with a predatory marketing format. People bought into a ton, and then the competitors said, "Hey, there, people will." But I don't know. Maybe they did do predatory marketing. It's fine, I guess. I use an Apple phone, but I still use a PC. I don't use a Mac, so I guess I just use a bit of everything. Jason says family night, all the phones go into a bin in the kitchen with the sound off. What do you do on family night, Jason? That sounds like a great idea. I love it, because it is good to not spend all your time on your devices, I guess. Like I said, it's easily done. It's probably only the last couple of years we actually sort of consciously be aware that we are, like, doom scrolling is a thing where, like, you're just scrolling endlessly for no reason. With no goal and nothing better. Like, the thing is, for a while there, like, I think it was when the new Star Wars movies came out, I kind of hated all those new Star Wars movies. Like 7, 8, and 9. Didn't mind Rogue One, and I didn't mind the Han Solo one, but I kind of hated 7, 8, and 9. But I like signed out of all my social media and stuff on my phone because I didn't want any spoilers for the movies, and I'm not one of these people that rushes to go see movies on like launch day. I prefer to go to the cinema when it's quiet. Sometimes I even go to the cinema when there's subtitles because I don't always hear as well, so like sometimes I actually like watching the movies with subtitles. I watch literally everything on my TV at home with subtitles, so I don't mind going to the movies with subtitles. So I signed out of like all that social media stuff, so I didn't get any spoilers for the movie. And when you actually sign out for the social media stuff for a few weeks, you realise that you don't miss it at all. Like, you literally don't miss it at all. If anything, you've got more time in your life, you can be more productive. You don't waste the time sitting on your phone. But I guess easy to talk about it, hard to actually do it, right? It sounds good, Jason. Yeah, I want to do board games with my kids. they're not quite there yet. I already promised like my little 3-year-old daughter at some point that she could help me paint a Space Marine. So we'll maybe I was gonna say we'll maybe film the worst ever painted Space Marine, and it'll be by my 3-year-old. She always comes in here and wants to touch the models. It's quite cute. Mousetrap is a good game for young kids. Man, I've not heard of Mousetrap in a long time. I had that one though. It's a bit like Snakes and Ladders, right? But the Mousetrap actually comes down. Yeah, maybe we need to... Oh, do you know another game that we had that I might need to buy? Pie Face. Did you guys ever play Pie Face? That was a good game. Yeah, maybe we'll buy Pie Face. Now I really want to buy Pie Face, actually. Pie Face is good fun, yeah. Especially, yeah, I feel like that's one that my kids would probably be able to actually do now. Cool. So I've got like 10 more minutes, I think. I'm going to try and get a video out about Sanctuary Guard and Death Company on Friday. I was working on another video about the balanced status slate and the biggest winners and losers. I might get that one out earlier, but if not, it might be next Friday as well. We'll have to see what time's like. I think I'm going to do a video on the aggressor stuff that everyone's talking about. Actually do some maths and see what they can see what those aggressors can go. I'm going to need to build my biologist. I'm going to have to, I think after the stream I'm going to have to go and get the Leviathan box and just look out a biologist so that I've got one that I can actually start building. I haven't built all the Leviathan models yet. I kind of was just building them on an ad hoc basis when I need them, and I haven't even built all my Augustus Strike Force models, because these I've got another 5 heavy intercessors on the sprue, and I've also got the Ballistus Dreadnought, the Brutalis Dreadnought on the sprue. I'm trying to think if the Brutalis is worth building now. Like, I think for me, I'm just a little bit worried about the delivery method for the Brutalis still. Hello Phoenix, how are you? Pie Face is basically a game where like you crank a lever and you have like a thing in front of you, and if you're the unlucky, it's almost like drawing shortest straw. When you draw the lever or you crank the lever, it can smash a bit of like whipped cream into your face or something. Do a video on the Gravis types. Can you compare aggressors to Sternguard? In terms of what? In terms of just using the bolter discipline on them, or in raw damage output? For, I mean, I think they do slightly different things, but yeah, tell me what you want to see about Sternguard. Toasty says his daughter painted a intercessor bright pink, and it's his favourite model in the cabinet. I love that, dude. I can imagine my daughter will definitely be painting it pink. I found like this website called like OnBuy. I've never really heard of it, but I looked it up and it's like a Chinese website, and it gets reasonable reviews, but also gets some really bad reviews. But I was trying to get my daughter a pink football strip, and they had it on this website on OnBuy, so it was like $13 or something. So I've taken the plunge, because yeah, she just absolutely loves pink. So yeah, I can fully imagine that we'll have a pink. I mean, I've got a spare Dante, so maybe I could have a pink Dante, and then when Dante actually gets some good rules, I could end up at a tournament with my multicolored pink Dante. That would be embarrassing to kill people with, wouldn't it? Like, hey, here's my Dante painted by my 3-year-old. Now prepare to die. Yeah. Could do that. Yeah, the damage output with Bolt or Discipline. Well, I mean, we could definitely do the damage output of Sternguard versus Aggressors. I was going to say, 6 Aggressors is slightly cheaper than 10 Sternguard, so, I mean, at least it would give us some sort of basis for the comparison. I could focus the video around the Aggressors, but see if we can put in at least one bit about the Sternguard. I can probably do both. You should make your Brutalis regardless, because when it definitely is good, you'll already be ahead. Yeah, I mean, that's true. That is 100% true. I think if they made the Meltagun a little bit higher strength than the Brutalis, it'd probably be really good right now. The Points Drop will have helped it, though. I mean, with Tank Shock, it can do 12 mortals on the charge. There's not many... I was going to say, there's not many things... And the 12 mortals... I don't know if, yeah, I was going to say it's quite reliable. I guess it's not. It'll do 6 mortals reliably, or it'll probably do like 9 mortals reliably on the charge, if you're willing to use Tank Shock. So there's not many things that can do 9 mortals reliably on the charge. But yeah, no, I was super excited when I got the Brutalis. I guess I've just never really felt like I've needed it or something. I don't know. I'll get to it, Rez. I'm sure I will. And like I said, now that summer is kind of officially over in Scotland now. It's actually getting cold. You got to wear jackets. You can't go out in the evenings anymore. So yes, based on all that, there's probably a good chance that like I'll do some. You know, in one of my next streams, I'm going to have to make the Biologist anyway. So maybe I can make the Brutalis. I wish there was an alternative scut for the full boss librarian. I want to run 2. Anyone done a conversion? What do you not like about the sculpt? Because I got mine on here. Highland, I thought it looked okay, right? Like, what do you not like about it? Is it his hand up to his face? I'm trying to think of a character that has a big cloak like that could also wield a power sword, that would look decent and it would make you happy. I'm not sure. Has anyone converted a full boss librarian? If so, what have you used? You don't have to glue the chest guns on the Brutalis, you can just switch them around. That's good to know. I actually magnetized a bunch of those bolters on my Redemptors, but like I literally never switch them. I always just have the bolters in there. So I don't really know why I magnetized them, but I did. I guess at the time I wasn't so sure. You never know, like when there's a new what is like frag storm cannons, you never really know, I guess, when they release something like that, if they're going to be good or what. So this is what it is, I guess. Jimmy says Pink Dante all the way. Yeah, Pink Dante to put the fear into the opponents, right? They'll never know what hit them. Man, I was convinced that Dante was going to get better rules for 10th edition, because I really thought his 9th edition rules were shitty. But I think his 9th edition rules might have actually been better than his 10th edition rules. I think if there's one character that's jumped out as me as like the best, like the biggest winner from the balanced data slate, I honestly think it's Lamartez. If you watch my video on Friday, I've got a shitload of maths to share with you guys, and it'll kind of back up what I'm saying about Lamartez maybe being the best. I think some people probably already thought he was the best. But I mean, people do have a... Blood Angels players do have like a huge love for Dante, regardless of how, like, Dante's been through a bunch of iterations and sometimes his rules are just really lackluster, or... But people still fucking love Dante. Like, people are just like, I'm gonna run Dante because he's Dante. It's like, yeah, but his rules suck. But he's Dante, so I'm gonna run him. I'm like, okay, you do you, right? You know, like I'm not. If you're desperate to run Dante, even if I'm telling you his rules sucks, that you know, you're your own person. You make your own decisions. I'm not gonna condemn you for running him. But like, yeah, I think on Friday, if you watch my video that's coming out Friday, you might have second thought. If you've not run Lamartez, or if you've not even considered him, you might have some second thoughts about Lamartez now. So stay tuned for that. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out tonight. Buff Dante, please. Yeah, I mean, I think they should buff him. I think he should, like, I don't necessarily think he should be like an auto-include. I don't think anyone should be an auto-include, but like I think he should be like, you know, I've heard a lot of Ultramarines players saying like, oh, Rabute this, Rabute, you know, like Rabute is just super good. And I think it's quite nice to be like, yeah, I mean, I think you can play Ultras without Rabute, but like, hey, he just brings something that no one else brings, and it's like really exciting to bring Rabute to your list. And I kind of would love that for Dante, I feel like, but I guess we're not there yet. Okay, that took me ages, but I guess these guys at least have now ready for detailing. One day I'll get an airbrush and I'll be faster at base coating. Yeah, so we should be back live as normal for a live game next Wednesday. I was going to say probably try and stream this Saturday. I don't think I've got anything going on Saturday, so probably try and stream some paint. I'll probably paint some more of these heavy intercessors on Saturday. So hopefully I'll see some of you guys on Saturday. Like I said, the tactics video will be out on Friday. I think the Armulus show will be on Sunday as normal, so it should be a normal week, and then get back into looking at Votan next month. Lamartez plus Feel No Pains make the opponent commit so much to try and kill the unit. Yeah, and I mean, I'd never really done any maths factoring in like go to ground before, which I don't know if many people are even using. I'd certainly never used go to ground, Kevin. So I've got some maths now factoring that in for Friday's video. So and I mean, you can use go to ground in conjunction with Armor of Contempt. So if you start factoring in multiple ones, and I've got some maths for both of them, so you'll see that on Friday, I guess. This new stand is much better than the one that I had before. I didn't bash it one time during the stream, so that was great. Eliminators would be a place to start. Full boss armor and cape. Head swap if you don't know someone. Yeah, I mean, Eliminators are about the only ones that have the full boss armor and the cape. That is a good point, says Drizzle. Egan Tin still has his £3 metal Dante. Nice. Ezekiel might be a way to start. Cool, guys. Well, thank you so much for hanging out. It's nice to see all of you. I know it's been too long since we did painting. Don't worry. Summer's over in Scotland, really is. It's cold as shit. It's 2 degrees this morning. So we'll be back painting a lot more. There's less to do. Leave a like on the stream if you did enjoy it, and make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet done that, because, you know, we have videos every week. Yeah, Ezekiel the Dark Angel. Yeah, he is a firstborn model, so I think it would probably be better to try and convert up from a Primaris model, but I suppose it's Highland Phoenix that's converting it, so it's up to you, Highland. I think Eliminators probably are going to make the most sense, though. Yeah, I think so. Alright, enjoy your night, guys. Thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you next time. Peace.
I have awoken.
Tarzan, wait till I disappear. Thank you. I think it's good. I think the balance slate is decent as well. I think armor might still be a little bit too strong, but I think it's maybe 10th is now heading in the right direction. I guess ask me again once we've had like a month and we get the next Meta Watch article. Thank you so much for 28 months. Crazy, dude. I really do appreciate it. Hit me up at the start of the next stream with any questions you got, or leave it in the comments. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.